People seem to think products are just hatched, you know, they just shoot out of the factory, somebody just pushed a button and there it was. The amazing thing to me is that people don't know of the industrial design profession, but they're affected by it constantly. The way it looks, the way it feels, the way you work with it, what customers are looking for, you know, from the business perspective, all those things are very important.
Our group was responsible for the actual project management from the standpoint of cost, functionality. We're responsible for the actual hardware design of the logic board, for the ASICs, as well as the system integration of the logic board. We were also responsible for the hardware associated with the display, the input devices, the battery subsystem, and so on.
Ergonomics is the science of common sense, but a lot of people developing products forget that.
Product design guys always looking at the hardware guys. We kind of lean on each other. We even co-locate all the sub-assembly engineering teams to work in the same areas.
Every little surface, every little bit, every little corner we've defined and looked at and evaluated, from the latch, the way the latch feels, the way you open it up, the battery door, how it stays with the battery, how the battery slides out. Everything's been looked at very closely.
Should we make the unit thinner or thicker, or should we try to pull more weight out of the box and have a pointing device as a standalone option or through an ADB port? What should the battery capacity be? What is the software impact of the battery technology that we're using? What about brightness control in terms of how much power are we going to allocate to the bulb so that we give enough brightness to the end user? Those types of decisions are an optimization of product marketing input, hardware design, as well as industrial design, talking through the various value engineering trade-offs of size, weight, cost, schedule, and so on.
What we usually do early on in the process is we'll have foam blocks made up to represent these components, and we essentially do a puzzle game, sort of playing with the engineering constraints balanced against the physical reality, which is how big it is, how it looks, how easy it is to deal with. It was clear to us that we didn't want to burden the user with an external input device, i.e. a mouse. The device we selected was a trackball. One option came up was at the right side of the product, which made some sense from a configuration point of view, but as we looked at it from the user perspective, we decided it wasn't appropriate to overlook the left-handers of the world once again. Then we looked at putting it in the front, and seemed like centered seemed to make sense. You know, a lot of times as a designer, when you approach something and you hit a wall, you say, let me look at this completely backwards, do something completely different. And something that came out of that made a lot of sense to us, and that was pushing the keyboard towards the back and moving hardware, and specifically the battery and the hard drive, forward. And what that ended up giving us was this very tight package that fit the trackball into the footprint we were looking for, and then place the keyboard here. And that also gives us this palm rest that allows you to sort of take your desk with you. At first, we all looked at it and thought, that seems pretty radical. We became very excited that we finally figured this thing out that had been bugging us for months.
Maybe not so much one huge eureka, but maybe more along the lines of a lot of small victories along the way. With all of our designs, what we try to do is not look at them as end products. We try to constantly use those designs and enhance them, and what we really want to look for is scalability for the future. We are road mapping the critical technologies that are important to portables. For instance, flat panel display technology, battery technology, mass storage devices, both floppy as well as rigid media as well as solid state capability. If you take a look at the overall hardware architecture of the microprocessor and the key I/O level of functionality, we have all of that road mapped for the next 3 to 4 years. We'll continue to ride the commodity items of batteries, of input devices, of displays and floppy drives and so on, we'll ride those commodity curves. If we push the industry and every single sub-assembly, we would never deliver product to the market. We have a very good relationship with Sony, and they understand how we do business. They had the infrastructure in place which we needed so that we could deliver the product concept and product ideas that we had developed here. We have partnered with them, and what we have done is we've brought to the table an overall design concept, both from the hardware, software, as well as the industrial design and product design piece. And what Sony has brought to the table is a complete design engineering team that has complemented our product ideas, as well as provided with the manufacturing capability and service capability as well to support us.
One thing that people notice right off it's different is the color. It's not our traditional Apple Platinum. We did that for a couple reasons. One, from a functional point of view, these products are handled a lot. They tend to show dirt, so we went to a darker value, obviously, to hide that, and so that they look fresh and new all the time. The darker colors did say to people, this is a richer thing. It's more of a personal item. In the desktop mode, some inclination on the product is real important, but in the laptop mode, you want it to remain flat. So we came up with this wheel idea. The reason it's round is it tells you that you have to rotate it to open it, and when you do, you'll notice as you rotate around, the little foot slides out and creates the angle necessary for the desktop use. When you're ready to go, you simply flip it back up into place, it retracts, and it's out of the way and ready to go. We've located the icons on the top. You don't get up and get around behind the product to look at the back. You look at the top of the product, you see, oh yeah, there's my icon, and it matches up with what's on the connector in the same orientations. We're doing some new things here that people haven't done before.
And when you think about what you could possibly do in the future with a portable notebook that has Macintosh functionality at the heart of it, it's just extremely exciting. And we're giving a customer or an individual the capability of a Macintosh 2 CI in something in 6.5